Well, 7 years ago at the South Point Casino and Resort, we started the D3Hoops.com Classic. To put it a different way, 99 games ago, we started the D3Hoops.com Classic at the South Point Casino and Resort. This is game number 100, and it's fitting that the team that has been here more times than any other, including the next three combined, would play in the 100th game. Now, Pat Coleman, editor emeritus for D3Hoops.com, he recognizes Ramapo, their 12th game. Gustavus, they're relative rookies by stature. They've only been here one other time before this, so this is their 4th game. And now we get down to business here as Ramapo and Gustavus Adophus tip off the second half of our triple header. The second triple header, I guess I should say, as the women's is in the book. Now it's the men's. Let's get you the Ramapo starting lineup. As we pull that up for you, same starting lineup it's been all year. Junior forward Thomas Bonnicum, joined by junior guard Josh Ford, junior guard James Long. You've got junior forward Christopher Mosley. And just to break the string of juniors, there is one senior in the mix. It's the senior from Old Bridge, New Jersey, Sultan Aminu. So 4 juniors and a senior, 2 forwards and 3 guards. The 5 on the floor for head coach Chuck McBreen, the longtime head coach of Ramapo in his 19th season with the Roadrunners, a career record of 327 and 169. Graduate of Towson State near Baltimore. For Gustavus Adophus, let's get you their starting lineup. It'll be Spencer Tollefson, sophomore wing from New Richland, Minnesota. Riley Charbonneau, also a wing, sophomore from Marshall, Minnesota. Alex Kester, senior wing from Redwood Falls, Minnesota. Jason Fall, junior wing from Prior Lake, Minnesota. And again, just to break things up, senior post, not a wing, 6'7", Peter Cruz, to round out the starting lineup for the Gusties. So Tollefson, Charbonneau, Kester, Fall, and actually it was Ben Lees, not Peter Cruz, my mistake. Ben Lees is rounding out the starting lineup. But nevertheless, you get the idea. Mark Hansen, the head coach of Gustavus Adophus, also a longtime head coach in his 27th season in St. Peter, Minnesota, with a career record of 484 and 241. Also the program's all-time leading scorer at Gustavus Adophus back in the glory days of Gusties basketball.
Yeah, and, you think of him as a head coach who's been a head coach for a long time, as you said, 27th year, but, still a relatively young guy. He took over that job at the age of 28 or 29.
Yep.
He's still got a lot of years left, but certainly it's a Gusties program that has seen better days. We talked about it in the interview, which you can find on D3Hoops.com's classic page right now and on the YouTube channel. But, the MIAC has gotten a lot better across the board in terms of depth in men's basketball over the last few years, and Gustavus has not kept up, and it's been a struggle, and it's been a struggle this season.
Ramapo, it has not been a struggle this season. They are undefeated, and they, with a win here, will leave as the only undefeated team. Layup immediately off the tip, and Ramapo doesn't waste any time doing nothing. They're not just the Roadrunners in terms of a mascot. That is how they play basketball. Extremely athletic, extremely fast, sometimes too fast for their own good. But out to a very quick 2-0 lead. Gusties in the gold, Ramapo in the black and maroon.
Pace is going to be a real difficulty here for Gustavus. They are not going to be able to play at Ramapo's pace based on what we saw yesterday.
Charbonneau off the pass from the baseline, tipped out of bounds, last touched by Jason Fall. Of the Gusties, it will be Ramapo basketball. Ramapo winning a thriller 66-65 over Salisbury in a meeting of undefeated teams. Salisbury, number 5 in the country. Gustavus Adophus dominated by number 11 Eau Claire yesterday as Thomas Bonnicum gets upended, but not before he hits the free throw. Or hits the layup, excuse me. And Bonnicum will shake off the cobwebs and attempt the free throw. Bonnicum, the team's leading scorer, 17 points per game. Excellent free throw shooter, 82%. and he misses the only one here. Shouts something we can't repeat over the air, and Ramapo heads down the floor on defense. 4-0 Roadrunners. As Gustavus Adophus very content to try and pound it inside with their two big men yesterday. Not that that worked particularly well, but they're going to have to try something else today. As that shot from the wing is no good. And nice effort from Kester to save it. And a steal by the Gusties.
That's Gusties basketball. They want to step into the passing lanes, and I guess even in transition, that's a rule.
Jason Fall, jumper from about 9 feet out. It drops for Fall, and it's 4-2 Ramapo.
Chatting ever so briefly with Chuck McBreen before the game, he was concerned his team would come out complacent, and after having the big win yesterday, might come out flat here in this game against Gustavus, a team which they would probably be expected to beat.
Sultan Aminu in the post. Nice baby hook from the senior from Old Bridge. He's second on the team in scoring. Bonnicum with 17, Aminu with about 12 per game. Everybody else single digits, but there's a bunch of different guys who can score in different ways. Guy in particular to keep an eye on. The numbers are a little hard to read, I'm sure, from that distance of vantage point. Maroon on black is generally not an announcer-friendly color scheme, although we're close enough that it doesn't matter. But Christopher Mosley, he's got 2 knee braces on. He's standing near the foul line. He is a human matchup nightmare. And, well, that's another way to show you who he is, as he smacks the shot into the second row of empty stands. Mosley is, if he were in the MIAC, he'd be a wing, because that's how they would list him. But he is a guard in a forward's body.
I think that's just Gustavus that does it that way.
Oh, really? Okay, well, if we were playing in the Northwest Conference. And a 5-second count forced by Josh Ford. Turns the ball over, and the Ramapo Roadrunners take over with a 6-2 lead. I was wondering if the uniform police, which I know are fairly close geographically to Ramapo, had taken a look at these uniforms yet. We're here, no more than 50 feet away from the play at any given point. It's not so difficult for us to read, but... There's Mosley. Mosley might have got away with an extra step there. Shot's no good. And the Gusties will have to try and get something in transition. Tollefson for Kester. Layup, no. But last touched by Christopher Mosley, so it will be actually touched by Mosley while it was still on the cylinder. So that's a goaltending. I said pass interference. Goaltending, 6-4. 2 points for the Gusties. Bonnicum, solid player. Calms things down for the Roadrunners. That shot no good, and Kester's got a lot of touches early on, comes back the other way. And a hold in the post. See what they try and do. Aminu played well yesterday, but fouled out, battling against Wyatt Smith of Salisbury. He picks up an early foul here. It's Ben Lees who got the start today. His first start of the season. Peter Cruz, who had started every other game, comes into the game just now. No, Lee started yesterday, too. Okay. It was one of those situations where, they're so focused on defense and they've kind of struggled a little bit offensively. They wanted to, Hansen wanted to switch the lineup up. So Cruz, more of an offensive guy, less of a defensive guy, doesn't get the start anymore, and Lees has started the last couple games. Mosley out of control, hits off the backside of the backboard. So Gusties basketball. Well, Gusties seem to be handling the speed all right. Now let's see how they handle the press. Mosley at the front of that 1-2-1 press, and with his extremely long arms. That is a look that I'm sure they don't find a whole lot in the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. No, you'd probably have to go play UW-Stevens Point to see something like that. Gustavus with 6 on the shot clock as it winds down. Jumper for Charbonneau is no good. Charbonneau led the Gusties in scoring last night, the loss to Eau Claire. James Long slips it into the post, stolen away. Good anticipation by Jason Fall. No, and this is what Gustavus does. They have one freshman, for example, Vanna Smith, and in their practice here on Tuesday afternoon before the tournament started, one of the assistant coaches was taking him aside and instructing him in the fine art of stepping into the passing lane. Pass into the post, and Peter Cruz, who's the Gusties' most reliable scorer, gets into the scoring column, and it's 6 points apiece. Cruz averaging 15.5 points. He's also the leader in rebounds and field goal percentage. Cruz riding on Stanek, who checked into the game. Nick Stanek. Stanek kicks out for Mosley as Aminu immediately went to the bench after picking up his first foul. Mosley drives, extends, and lays it up over the top of the defense for 2. Christopher Mosley, kind of hard to believe. Well, okay, never mind. I read the wrong number for him earlier. He does have double digits. He averages 16.2. I thought he averaged 6.2. That makes more sense. 3 on the way is good for Gustavus Adophus.
Well, the back and forth is working out just fine for the Gusties so far.
Mosley outside for Josh Ford. Ford rides his defender. Shot no good, but Ford gets to the rebound. Kick out for James Long. Mostly open for 3. Set shot. Doesn't jump at all. And rack bounces off the back of the rim. Gusties come back the other way. Spencer Tollefson with the handle for Gustavus Adolphus. Near sideline, Jason Fall. As they get it around for Austin Getz, who's checked in. Getz' baseline jumper is no good. Cruz with the rebound, though, and he hangs and hits. And Gustavus Adolphus builds the lead to 3. It's the Gusties 11 and the Roadrunners 8.
When there's a second to think, I'd like to hear your take on how this game is called and compared to how games in Philly, New Jersey, are generally called. This looks to me like a Midwest game, and they got a Midwest team playing. And Ramapo, how do they adjust?
Yeah, I think they'll be okay with that. In terms of the style.
It being more physical?
Yeah, I think they'll be all right with that. I think it's harder to make the adjustment the other way around.
From a Midwest team getting a game called in a New England style or whatever.
I think so. And maybe it's just because I'm used to watching games on that side of the coast, and I for whatever reason, I just think the adjustment's easier will be easier for Ramapo to make. But I will say Gustavus Adophus, if they continue to impose this kind of pace and kind of discipline on the game, if that makes any sense, in terms of, not a lot of turnovers, going to make it more of a half-court game. That takes away one of the major advantages that Ramapo has. 11-9, Gustavus Adophus opens 3 off a beautiful screen for Lees. It doesn't drop. Boy, Lees with a great screen. Blocking out all kinds of bodies to set up an open look. Skylar Thompson, who's checked in for his first action tonight, junior wing from Millville, Minnesota. And now for Ben Lees. I'd like to see the Gusties try the Twin Towers look at some point here with Lees and Cruz. Don't generally do that, and traveling violation on Thompson. Maybe just 2 guys who do too much of the same thing.
These guys for the Gusties, almost all of them from outstate Minnesota. They haven't had a lot of success pulling guys from the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. Prior Lake and Chaska, where Fall and Getz are from, are about as close to the cities as this team gets.
Pretty spin move by Thomas Bonnicum. He's got 4. We are tied at 11. I'm a little surprised at Ramapo. Wow, wide open. I was about to say before that layup for Ben Lees, I'm a little surprised Ramapo doesn't extend the press a little more. It's almost like a 3/5 court press by the time they come up to meet the ball handler. He's a step or 2 away from the timeline.
That's true. You could make them waste a lot more time by attacking them a little bit closer to the end line.
Well, Nick Stanek hits the 3. He's either an exceptionally good three-point shooter or the numbers are printed wrong on the stat sheet here. I don't think he shoots 90% from 3. But he hit that one pretty smoothly, so maybe he does. Who knows?
901. Maybe that is 9. I have no idea.
Even if it's 9 out of 10, it gets you to the same number.
That was the machination I was going through in my head when I stopped talking. It's like, that doesn't make any difference.
Outside, 3 on the way for the Gusties, who are shooting at a much better pace today. Charlie Crambeer hits the 3.
Well, remember how much we talked about them not hitting from the outside, not even attempting from the outside yesterday against Eau Claire.
Gusties bring the ball up the floor, up by 2, 12:58 to play. As Charbonneau thinks about a 3, Kester will take it. From the wing, no. And a rebound controlled by the human highlight reel from last night, Corey Sones. Pull-up jumper short for Ford. Sones with the rebound, and then Sones gets ridden into the court. And wisely just gets away. Full composure there, and jump ball possession arrow in favor of the Gusties. Patrick Peterson, who was our second semester surprise. There's normally a couple of them, meaning that the NJAC student body and enrollment, not just in athletics but overall, changes a lot from semester to semester. It is very much all of these schools are very much commuter schools. They do have dorms on campus, but A lot of their students come from very close.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep,
Happened right in front of us.
Got a very good look at that. Jason Fall was standing on the sideline when he was wrestling with the ball with Bonnicum there. But it often can be significant roster changes semester to semester. That was not the case for Ramapo. But Peterson, who did not play at all, came in and played some quality minutes yesterday for Coach McBreen, and he's on the floor now. Corey Soanes hangs and hits. So Corey Soanes, senior guard from Matawan, New Jersey, who, check out yesterday's recap, you can see his one-hand tomahawk follow dunk.
Yeah.
In the game against Salisbury. 16 points apiece.
Dave McHugh is sending us quotable things from the Ramapo sidelines, things we actually can say on the air, unlike many of the things we were hearing from yesterday.
Which were equally as entertaining, but we're just not allowed to share with you.
I was tempted, if we weren't already 15 minutes behind in games today, I was tempted to take 30 seconds and roast Chuck McBreen, and I was going to say something like, and in the words of Chuck McBreen, actually, I don't think there are any words from Chuck McBreen that I can quote here with the microphone open.
11:48 to play. Ramapo on top. McBreen, longtime head coach for the Roadrunners. Jumper on the way, off the side of the rim, no good. Deepest run in the NCAA tournament for the Roadrunners is the Elite Eight. And a fantastic game. They lost a very close game at the College of Worcester. I want to say 2002 or 2003. They've been there a few other times. Gusties have been to the national championship game, as that's deflected out of bounds.
Not the first time that's happened, not the last. Sorry about that.
Well, not the first.
Oh, touche.
Foul line. Stolen away by Peterson. Peterson drives in, layup way off the mark. Gusties come back the other way. All alone, Charbonneau. Charbonneau's layup is up and good. So Gustavus gets out and runs the break effectively to the chagrin of Chuck McBreen. It's a 2-point Gustavus lead, so any concerns that Coach Hansen had about getting run off the floor? Wow. Okay, now that I've never seen before. That's somebody's sneaker.
All right. Well, Gordon is picking up a spare sneaker. It's somehow Alec Kester's sneaker. How did that even happen?
I don't know.
That didn't hit you, did it?
No, it was about 2 feet over my head. I've never seen that happen. I've seen players' shoes come off the floor. I guess I've never been close enough to the action where it was a broadcaster seeking projectile. 18 points apiece, 10:51 to play. Kester gets it tied on tightly. Kester across the timeline. Down into the post, Aminu reaches out, pokes it away. He is back. Here comes Soanes. Soanes going to have to save it. He does manage to find Peterson. Peterson, foul line, jumper, yes. Now there's the athleticism on all fronts there of Ramapo. Aminu to reach into the passing lane and steal it. Soanes to save it. And then Peterson to hit the jumper. Cruz. Across the defense. Good touch pass. Kester, jumper on the way. No good for Jason Fall. And the Roadrunners with the rebound. Dribble up the floor for Zaire Newell. Checked in. Jumper off the glass and no good for Aminu. And the rebound by Kester, who seems to be everywhere. As Riley Charbonneau runs over the top of Peterson, commits the foul. One of the Ramapo players looking down the bench to see, okay, it's one of the guys who doesn't have his warm-ups off, so I won't be able to identify him by name. He was behind me in the deli line, and, man, he was carbon up. He was getting all kinds of baked goods.
Hey, they're good. They are quality,
yeah, they are exceptionally good.
Quality baked goods. I've not been in a New York deli in a while, but that's the style.
Yep.
And they are good stuff.
22-18. Gustavus Down by 4. 3 on the way from Fall. No. Soares with the rebound.
Followed his shot, at least. That's the least I can ask.
Or rather, Soanes. Soares might be an more appropriate name, but it's not his actual given name.
It's not that we're aware of.
Nope. Zaire Newell, freshman guard from Elizabeth, New Jersey, not too far from where Ramapo is based, as they're playing 4-on-5. One of their guys is tying his shoe mid-play. That's Newell.
Well, as long as it doesn't end up in our broadcast position.
Maybe he saw that and didn't want us to get as close a look at his shoe.
Cautionary tale.
Ends up being a foul on Kester. I'll say that Alex's last name is spelled Koster, but when we asked the assistant coach last night, he said it's pronounced Kester, so that's what we're going with.
Yep.
If we're wrong, it's not because we're illiterate. It's because we've been improperly informed.
Did somebody say we're wrong?
No, I'm just saying, well, the public address announcer is announcing it, Koster.
Ah, gotcha.
So it makes me hesitate. But nevertheless, we'll go with what we've been told. Full timeout taken by Ramapo, I believe.
Well, and, Ramapo is, as I was talking about earlier with relating what Coach McBreen said, got to be a little bit concerned that you come out complacent. They're coming out and they're playing hard. I definitely think the intensity level is about where it normally is for Ramapo. Mm-hmm. Maybe Chuck McBreen's intensity level, as evidenced by the number of unprintable words, might not be as high as it could be later. Yeah. But at the moment, I think they've come to play today.
Yeah, and this one of the two games they had, number 5 in the country, team that's a lot closer to them geographically, ranked in the top 25. That one was a little easier to get up for, so to speak. Then this one, a team that's 2-6, not anywhere near you in the geographically speaking. Thank you, sir. Both teams getting scoring from lots of guys. 7 different guys have scored for Ramapo. 6 different guys have scored for Gustavus Adophus. Nobody has more than 5. Bonnicum and Riley Charbonneau with 5 apiece. One thing about Ramapo, again, and I said this last night, they are disciplined about not shooting threes. They're 1 for 2 today, and they were something like 3 of 5 until the later stages of the game yesterday. Free throw is no good. Now, I don't know how many they've taken. They shoot 38% as a team. We can, I'm sure that's researchable, so to speak, but they aren't looking to take threes, at least not here.
Exactly.
20.
It's just a team right now, in terms of Gustavus, it's a team that really feels like it has to be focused around defense because offensively, they have some issues. They don't have a lot of scorers that they can go to.
Austin gets. Pass is taken away. Roadrunners back the other way. Hesitation. Soanes no good, but actually it was Soanes with the follow. And Soanes with the score off the missed shot by Jermaine Pert. And it's a 6-point Roadrunner lead, 8:34 to play. And they have indeed extended that press out a little farther. 3 from Charbonneau rattles out. Rebound controlled by Aminu. So 2 bigs out there at the same time, Pert and Aminu. Aminu runs the floor, won't get it to drop. And the Gusties with the rebound. Quickly up the floor, Spencer Tollefson.
I was just impressed with myself. I managed to fix the cropping of the scoreboard clock in our production truck software here.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice technology.
I know David's shown me how to do it, but that was like 17 games ago, I think. But this broadcast is presented in part with production truck software by Blue Frame Technology. We thank them for their partnership to help present the 7th annual D3Hoops.com Classic. If you're interested in production truck software, go look them up. Look up Blue Frame Technology and drop Dave McHugh's name because Dave likes to have his name dropped. No, we want them to know that you found out about it from us, of course. This is how these things work.
First foul on Peterson, but 6th on the Roadrunners. So next one will be free throws. 8 minutes to play here in the first half as that inbounds pass comes all the way to Charbonneau in the backcourt. Charbonneau brings it up the floor. Ramapo is completely shut out Cruz and Lees, not scoring. They've each have 2 points, but they've had to get them on kind of awkward ways. Sones tracks down the loose ball, hangs and hits the layup, and Ramapo converts the Gustavus Adophus mistake into 2 points.
Were we waiting for a highlight reel there? If the ball had hit him in transition a little bit further, I think we would have had an opportunity for something thrown down.
Ball poked away, another turnover. It's the 11th of the game by Gustavus Adolphus, and Ramapo wait to see how this turns out. Okay.
Turns out in a turnover.
Won't turn into points, but 11 turnovers to 10 points for Ramapo right now. And that's the difference in the game.
Well, I liked Sones' decision there. Obviously, it didn't result in a basket, but Sones had an opportunity to force one up underneath and instead kicked it outside, and they had an opportunity, at least I think was a better look at the basket in all things considered.
Charlie Crambier checks back in for the Gusties. It's Crambier, Getz. We got Spencer Tollefson, Cruz, and a foul. Skylar Thompson is the 5th guy on the floor for the Gusties. 1-1 now, the situation. And Spencer Tollefson to the free throw line. Entering the weekend, an outstanding free throw shooter, 89%. Team shoots 78% as a whole. Doesn't get in too much better than that.
Wow.
Tollefson hits the first. Spencer has started every game, averages a little under 9.5 points. At New Richland, Minnesota.
Don't know where it is, sorry.
Okay, that was the
I know, right? You had the cadence.
Pregnant pause.
You had the cadence that indicated that I should say something about New Richland, Minnesota. I do not have the answer for you.
Bonnicum got elbowed in the back of the head, so he's going to come off the floor. Medical staff will attend to him. He's been smacked around. McBreen is saying you called the touch foul. What about the elbow to the back of the head?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question you can
fair
ask.
Question.
I'm not saying it's a fair complaint or something that should be acted on. I'm saying he has the right to ask the question.
McBreen asking about a spot on the floor. We haven't said it yet today, so we might as well now. It's a new floor. Because Garth Brooks bought the old one, literally. He was, I guess, using this as a staging area for one of his shows and liked the basketball court so much he decided to take it home. I saw him on, what show was he on last night? Jimmy Kimmel.
I saw him on the Red Line.
Yeah. He's on Jimmy Kimmel last night. I thought, hey, there's the guy who bought the basketball floor.
And, this is the 7th year that we've had an association with the tournament here. And, of course, there are other, there's a Division II tournament that's held before the holiday. Often there's a Division I women's basketball here, and I know that our friend Rob Knox, the former Around the Nation columnist, who's sports information director at Towson University, his team was out here right before the holiday break as well. But usually, I'd say more often, this area is used for equestrian events.
Yep.
There's how many horse stalls were there?
1,200 climate-controlled horse stalls.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy not to be in any of those, but that is what is done far more often here than basketball.
Yeah.
It's a great venue for basketball, I think.
Yeah, it's you don't get a wide shot at it too often, but if you did at the far end, there's a saloon restaurant that kind of overlooks the gym, which would be a neat place to take in a game.
For the post-game show.
Yeah.
Also, we should have a post-game show. It's just we don't broadcast it.
And if you're in the casino itself, that's the decor is kind of cowboy themed. Jumper on the way, no good. Lees does a good job riding his defender out of the play. And it's 26-20. Roadrunners by 6 with 6:26 to play in the first half. A little bit of a size mismatch here for the Gusties. Working around the outside instead. Tollefson off the foot of one of the Roadrunners.
Shot clock kicks back up to 15 after the kickball.
First action of the game for Vanna Smith, freshman wing from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Is that near Chicago?
I'm not supposed to know Illinois.
Oh,
I'm only
sorry.
Minnesota.
I thought by extension, since they were from Minnesota. Three-pointer on the way is up and good.
I'm actually usually pretty good with the Chicago suburbs. I just have no idea if that's one of them.
Wow, I think that was a pass from Mosley, who caught everybody, including Aminu, off guard and hit Aminu right in the face.
Isn't that where the Blanchard family is from? Derek Blanchard and Matt Blanchard?
Yes. That's
Mount Union offensive
that's
lineman.
That's why it triggered
okay.
I thought you might know.
That's north of Chicago, kind of between Chicago and the Wisconsin border. One of those guys, of course, ended up as a Gagliardi Trophy finalist offensive guard for Mount Union. The other ended up as the quarterback for Wisconsin Whitewater and had a couple of cups of coffee with various teams in the NFL.
Right, yep.
Coffee.
26-23. Ramapo on top, but just by 3 now. Sponicum apparently is repaired from his injury, but another turnover by the Roadrunners, who for a while were doing a good job taking care of the ball. And I guess that's still the case. That's just their 5th turnover. 5:42 to play in the opening half. Gusty's keeping it close, certainly keeping the tempo and the scoring pace where they'd like it to be. Gusty's averaged 74 per game, Ramapo 85. Ramapo gives up 65 per game. And Gusty's give up 76. Not including final scores from yesterday. Vanis Smith guarded very closely. And slip it into the post. Lees looked like he's lost his footing. Got the shot off anyway. Bonnicum comes in to grab the rebound. Up in front of the pack, Josh Ford, circus shot, got it to fall. So Ford, who averages 9 points per game, banks it off the glass, and it's 28-23. Mosley extends out. Crambier breaks the press. He's got 6 points on a couple of threes. He thought about taking a third there, but they're working around the top of the defense again instead. Vanis Smith outside. Drive-in shot. Got it. And Charbonneau will head to the free throw line.
Gustavus getting just enough offense from just enough different parts of the floor to keep this game really competitive. And, Charbonneau, who we talked a lot about yesterday, passing up shots, not taking opportunities open where he had an opportunity to maybe extend the defense where they really needed him to. Here he's got an opportunity to get in, finish this off and make it 8 points on the night for him.
Charbonneau long on the free throw. 3-point Ramapo lead. Peterson is checked back in. Peterson, Bonnicum, Aminu, Sones, and Ford. That shot's off the mark. Vanis Smith bringing the ball up the floor. Charbonneau pull-up jumper. Left it a little short. Sones quickly back the other way, and Vanis Smith does a nice job to shut off the fast break. Bonnicum for Ford. Ford on the baseline. Peterson couldn't quite save it. Good look on the back door, but couldn't quite hang on. And now they're going to confer and say it was last touched by Gustavus. Peter Cruz checks in for the Gusties. Ben Lees heads to the bench. First action of the game for Jordan Zagadou, the freshman forward from Newark, New Jersey. Sones, 14 on the shot clock. Sorry, that's Ford with 14 on the shot clock. Peterson, pull up 3, got it. Patrick Peterson, smooth touch from the outside. And Ramapo extends the lead to 6, 31-25.
They show press and they make Gustavus pass the ball around a bit to bring it up, but they didn't force any traps or even really pressure the ball in the backcourt at all.
You think that's designed to force time more than create turnovers, or just a poorly executed press?
Well, I can't imagine that they would execute a press that poorly, right? So how can 3 guys up front all not go after the ball if they're told to do so, right?
Zagadou, they'll count it. And Jordan Zagadou, a chance at a 3-point play. And Jordan already at his scoring average, just averages 2 points per game. Played in all 10 games as a reserve. This is not his favorite spot on the floor. He's 2 for 7 from the free throw line.
Well, it wasn't too many people's favorite spots from the floor yesterday when Ramapo and Salisbury played.
And that shot no good for Zagadou. 33-25. Oops, Charbonneau took his eyes off the ball. Uh-oh, 4-on-1. Sones hanging will just draw the contact, and Sones will get to the free throw line.
Yeah, if you're Jason Fall, the last thing you want to do is get posterized in Division III. So that's about as wise a move as you can get, I would say.
7th team foul on the Gusties. It's 2 shots anyway, but shooting the rest of the way for the Road Runners with 3:28 to play here in the first half. Sones converts the first free throw. Corey Sones, a senior guard from Matawan, New Jersey.
Where's that in the Garden State?
Not far from Mahwah, both up in the northern part, getting closer to New York City. If I were a true New Jersey native, I would be able to tell you what turnpike exit it is, which is the running joke. Is when you say you're from Jersey, which exit?
15, 14, something like that.
But
there's 16 of them, right? From
I think that's correct.
Numbering up from the Delaware Memorial Bridge.
Yep, up to New York City.
Which I almost forgot to say the full name of. I usually just call it the Del Member because that's how it's abbreviated on the signs.
Peterson hanging, shooting, no. And Lees goes over the back, not the call. It's actually last touched by Ramapo. 35-25. Roadrunners have slowly worked this out to a 10-point lead as Coach Hansen watches and discusses things with one of his assistants. Vannis Smith, quick bounce pass. A hanging shot, no good. And last touch by the Gusties off the hands of Spencer Tollefson.
Yeah, and that's not the area of the floor, I think, in which Tollefson is most comfortable working.
Gustavus 10 of 26, 39%, 3 of 10 from behind the arc, and 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Ramapo 15 of 29, that's 52%. 3 of 8 from the free throw line, so maybe they're just not a good free throw shooting team. It says they shoot 70% on the season, though.
Ramapo on a 7-0 run here. And
Sones has his foot come across the sideline. Charbonneau gets helped up by Bonnicum.
Gustavus is beginning to slip a little bit. It was of course, it was a 3-point game just 2.5 minutes ago, 28-25, when Charbonneau made that jumper, but then missed the free throw to try to complete the 3-point play, and it's been all Ramapo ever since.
Gustavus trying to get this back to single digits. Spencer Tollefson into the post for Ben Lees. Hesitating and going to the sideline. Now McBreen points out the open shooter who misses the shot. And here comes Corey Sones again. That's Ford quickly back the other way. Now that's Sones. Sones misses. Attempts the follow shot. He's fouled by Jason Fall.
8th team foul for Gustavus. Ramapo with 8 as well. Of course, it's a shooting foul, so Sones will be at the line for a pair.
Second foul on Fall. Charbonneau checks out. Charlie Crambier back in. Jordan Zagadou returns for the Roadrunners. And free throws up and good for Sones. New Jersey Athletic Conference, top 2 teams in that conference, at least by record and by expectations, Ramapo and New Jersey City, both in the northern half of the state. The conference is cut in 2. There's a north and a south division, as Sones with the steal and the basket. Both Jersey City and Ramapo are in the north. The south has been long dominated by Richard Stockton, well, now Stockton, but it was previously known as Richard Stockton.
Yeah, previously known as Stockton State.
Yeah.
Previously known as Stockton Teachers College.
Wow, very well.
Previously known as the
Normal College of Stockton.
University of New Jersey, Atlantic City. No, I forget what's the suburb it's actually in.
Pomona.
Pomona, okay. Yeah, so anyway, as this run now has gotten extended to 10-0, Gustavus taking a timeout. And really a fairly lazy entry pass got stolen by Sones, and a quick bucket made out of it.
So the way the conference sets up their playoffs, it's a 16 playoff. Top team from each division gets a bye, and it's a team where losses to lower-ranked teams happen fairly frequently. So Jersey City and Ramapo could both be in position to make the tournament, but in the NCAA tournament, but one of them was they can't both get a bye. Obviously, the strength is stilted towards the northern half of the conference. Along with Ramapo and Jersey City, you've got Montclair and William Patterson on that part of the conference. Drive down low, shot, got it, count it, going to the line. Ben Lees with the good finish.
Well, nice job by Gustavus coming out of the timeout, working the ball around, finding, not necessarily one of their big scorers, but Lees is in there in the post. He's a big presence, and he was able to finish.
Well, the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference is a big conference. Have there ever been any discussions or thoughts about splitting it in two? And there are not a lot of conferences that do that.
So there's been a lot of discussion about, the way the conference schedules. And, of course, they did make a change in the scheduling just a couple of years ago. Used to play everybody in a full double round robin, which left only only 3 women's basketball games available for non-conference play and only 5 for men's basketball, and made it really difficult. They understood that it was not good for them in terms of playoff selection criteria, and they did make a change to kind of unbalance the schedule. Before that, they were very hesitant to think about splitting it into divisions. It doesn't really work, just the way there's so many teams clustered in the metro area, and there's one team outstate in the north and like 3 teams outstate in the south.
Wouldn't be fair to do a metro non-metro because the non-metro are so far apart.
Because then Concordia and St. Mary's have to go 5.5 hours to each other all the time.
Free throw is up and good.
I mean, it's already a mess in terms of that as it is. Often Concordia and St. Mary's end up playing on a Monday night after someone plays a Saturday night in the cities, and they don't go home in between.
Okay.
And that's not ideal from a missed class time standpoint, obviously.
Free throw up and no good, 40-28. Yeah, the Jersey Conference breaks down a little better with a north-south, although not in terms of competitive balance. It does in terms of geography. And the entire state of New Jersey takes 2.5 hours to drive, so not nearly the size of Minnesota. Depending on traffic.
Yeah, depending on the time of day. 2.5 to 8 hours.
3 on the way, well short. And the ball comes, and Zagadou grabbed it. Going for the ball, or is he just smacking Lees in the face?
No. He grabbed and he was violently calling for timeout.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to be seen.
Okay.
In the scrum. Or, maybe he was smacking Lees in the face, but I don't. If anything, that was just a sidelight. I don't think that was what was intended.
That was the intention. Okay.
Pretty sure.
40-28. Bonnicum turnaround. Touch shot won't fall. As batted around, and Zagadou just got a piece of Lee's face again. And
I don't think he was calling for timeout that time.
Yeah. 40-28. Sones.
By the way, they didn't take the timeout.
No.
It was a tie-up, I guess.
Cranbeer with 5 on the shot clock. Lees hangs, and is hit. He'll head to the free throw line.
It's the 4th game of 6 today. All of our women's action in the books. You see it there on the screen. Co over PLU. Puget Sound over Simpson in overtime. And Lewis and Clark over Stevens, but the graphic says something else. Gustavus Adophus and Ramapo right now. 5th-ranked Salisbury and Hardin-Simmons coming up later. And finishing off the night, 11th-ranked UW-Eau Claire versus UC Santa Cruz.
40-30, Ramapo, 3 seconds on the clock. Last shot. Off the mark, no good. And then a bit of a tussle there between Getz and Corey Sones. 40-30. Ramapo with the lead at the break as some of the players are going into the wrong locker room. Not that it matters, because once you get beyond that curtain, it's all open anyway until there's other curtains that divide the locker rooms. Now they are pulling them to the right side of the makeshift locker rooms. And we'll let you go to whatever side of your locker room you choose to. We'll be back with about 12 minutes' time. We'll get you the first half statistics. Look at the D3Hoops.com scoreboard for you and get you ready for the second half. This is the 7th annual D3Hoops.com Classic. Welcome back. You can see the first half statistics of note. Let's get you the individual standouts. Actually, before we do that, let's roll through some scores off the D3Hoops.com scoreboard for you. This is the only game on the men's side involving a MIAC team today. Bunch of women's teams played. A bunch of women's teams lost, honestly, for the MIAC. They do have 2 games of note. Gustavus Adophus tips off right about now against Wisconsin River Falls on the women's side of things. And St. Thomas, the number 5 ranked team in the country, justifies that ranking. They beat Hope 78-67. Hope was number 7 in the country. That was at Bluffton's tournament. So on a neutral floor, St. Thomas defeats Hope 78-67. In the New Jersey Athletic Conference, Ramapo's women are off today. A bunch of men's games in progress, or a bunch of men's games played today. One of them in progress besides this one, obviously. Stockton with a 24-11 lead on Dickinson College midway through the first half. 2 finals from the NJAC. New Jersey City defeats Gettysburg 61-57 in the first game at Albright's Holiday Tournament. Jersey City will play Misericordia tomorrow. St. Mary's of Maryland takes care of William Patterson 92-70 on the men's side. Top 25 scores of note for you. Again, Ramapo isn't in the top 25 right now, but they very likely will be on Monday night when the next poll is released. Number 9, Christopher Newport. Easy win over SUNY Old Westbury to win their own holiday tournament 86-41. They win their two games combined this weekend by 90 points. Williams with a big win in overtime over Hope. Final score, Williams 91, 15th ranked Hope 85. As Williams not in the top 25, Hope has been, but that may switch around. And, a heck of a day for the NESCAC. Final score, Middlebury 77, number 18 Illinois Wesleyan 75. That is the final at Staten Island's Tournament of Heroes. And Washington University defeats Ohio Wesleyan by a final score of 82-66. A bunch of teams will play later on. North Central of Illinois will play Stevens Point. Whitewater hosts Lawrence. Of course, Eau Claire will be the nightcap here for us. They will play Santa Cruz. St. Norbert hosts Finlandia. And then, actually, before that nightcap, we'll have number 5 Salisbury, who's the highest-ranked team playing today. They will play Hardin-Simmons coming up after this one. Numbers of note to jump out to you from the first half, Pat?
Well, I think one of the interesting things is how much Ramapo just focused on packing it in. You know, again, points in the paint we talked about a lot in yesterday's game. Once again, just 2 of 5 from outside. They struggled from the line, and, you know, again, as last night, that's going to be something that they're going to need to focus on going forward. Even if they can get through tonight or get through today with free throw issues, that is something that, a team with championship expectations needs to fix.
Close games, you got to hit those, or it's going to bite you eventually. So Ramapo with a 10-point lead on Gustavus Adophus here, as Pat mentioned in the brief pregame ceremony. 100th game ever played at the Classic, 12th played by Ramapo. They've been here 6 of the 7 years.
And the 4th played by Gustavus Adolphus, for that matter.
Yep, they're a return visitor. I think, Hardin-Simmons been here before on the men's side?
Yep, they have. They played Gustavus, in fact, the last time Gustavus was here.
Gusties are ready to go. They're starting 5 back out on the floor. Ben Lees, Riley Charbonneau, and Alec Kester right in front of our broadcast vantage point. Spencer Tollefson, and then standing at half court is Jason Fall. I always appreciate the PA guy's efforts to get the crowd into the game. He goes, "Let's make some noise," and one person goes, "Woo!"
And that was you.
No, it was not. But that would have been far less funny. And louder, though, for the broadcast if it had been me. Ramapo has their starting 5 back out there as well. Josh Long, and Josh Ford. Corey Sones, yes, the guy who just looked at me when I said his name. Thomas Bonica.
Thought he was going to give you the ball.
I was open. And Sultan Aminu. The 5 on the floor for the Road on a second. Road Runners.
Okay, we're good.
Long did not play long in the first half. He started every game for the Road Runners, but relatively limited minutes here tonight as Sultan Amino was fouled, and he'll head to the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, Long didn't have much of an
I
impact.
was
0 for 1.
First
turned
time
the
I've
ball
said
over.
his name since the starting lineups.
Turned the ball over, went 0 for 1. One of those obviously was enough to put him on the bench for a while.
Mosley has 3 fouls. So does Patrick Peterson. Nobody with 3 fouls for the Gusties. Fall and Cruz at 2 apiece. And the shooting woes from the foul line continue. Ramapo gets 1 of 2.
Now, see, a little bit more aggressive here on the 1-2-2 press. There was a little bit of an attempt at a trap there. Gustavus doing a good job moving the ball back and forth.
Kester for Charbonneau. Charbonneau drives, hangs, and hits. Nice finish from Riley Charbonneau.
Yeah, that's a really good look. A little bit of burst from Charbonneau that I'm not sure we necessarily expected.
No. Aminu, head fake. He's got a size advantage on, can't make out who it is that's trying to guard him. Aminu grabs the offensive rebound. No basket, but he is fouled. And Aminu right back to the free throw line. Sultan Aminu, senior out of Old Bridge, New Jersey. Good size on this Ramapo team. Bonnicum is 6'6", Mosley is 6'6". Aminu, Zagadou, all 6'6". Although,
And 6'6" and built, too.
yeah, if I told you Aminu and Bonnicum were the same size, would you believe me? Look at where Aminu is at the foul line. Bonnicum's right here at half court. They don't look like they're both 6'6", do they?
Well,
No,
they
just
just stood next to each other. It was pretty close, actually.
Yeah, maybe they are.
If one
Amino looks over in our direction. So
hey, I'm 6'6".
I am definitely 6'6", whatever he is.
What are you, like 5'7"?
I was going to say, we all look much taller than you. 43-32. Yeah, I can size up the women's players when they say they're 5'10" or so, because I know how tall I am. But for the men, they're all bigger than I am. There's a foul
Me
on the
too,
floor.
and I'm 6 foot. Even in Division III, that's
You would be a point guard.
not a very good one. I'm a 6 foot power forward. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I can rebound, and I can shoot close in.
It makes me smile when my alma mater sends me a letter every year that they only send to the former basketball players at their school. Because I did not play basketball at my alma mater, but I ended up on the list somehow anyway. I have some suspicions how, but it makes me smile to think of myself as a player, even if it's only in somebody's database. 43-34.
Nice shot by Austin Getz, but he had a foot on the line.
Sones for Bonnicum. Bonnicum for 3. And Bonnicum ends up passing it to Aminu. Shot no good. And there's that man again, Corey Sones, flying in to tip it home. 45-34.
Good third chance action there for Ramapo. A good trap here in the front court. Now a lot more aggressive with that press than we've seen him play before tonight.
Charbonneau breaks free for another basket. Second of the half, 45-36. Aminu. No, but Aminu is intent on taking it to the rim every time.
No, I tell you, Gordon, this second half starting off much like the first half did. Gustavus playing in the same kind of tempo and keeping with Ramapo. Unfortunately for Gustavus, there was a span of about the final 6 minutes of the first half in which they were completely incapable of keeping up, and that's how this game got out of hand.
30-second timeout taken by head coach Mark Hansen. Now, I know the Gusties went to the final in, was it 2000?
2003.
2003. They were the team that lost to Williams on that
Final
shot. Yeah. Have they won a national title? Did they win one in their heyday? No. Okay.
No, St. Thomas is the only team
from the
west
Mayakers
of the Mississippi to win a championship.
Wow. Okay.
And so that didn't happen until 2011.
Right.
Before that, I think Gustavus was the first team west of the Mississippi to
play
for the title.
Okay.
Of course, 90-some% of Division III is east of the Mississippi.
East of Ohio, right.
Well, yeah, half of it's east of Ohio and 90% east of the Mississippi. And
a lot
93% east of the Mountain Time Zone.
Right. Yeah. Aminu's free throw is good.
But a run of Elite Eights, a run of Sweet 16s, especially in the regional tournament era before the automatic bids and the at-large bids became national.
Right. And Aminu's been very impressive this half. Very, very aggressive and cashes in both free throws, which have not been automatic for Ramapo here.
Like many of the schools in the upper Midwest, too, Gustavus was a very successful basketball program in the NAIA.
Okay.
Nice steal.
And to finish is Gustavus Skylar Thompson. Turns that into 2 points.
Little payback for Gustavus having its pocket picked in the exact same manner late in the first half.
Bonnicum. Minu with the finish. Hey, don't break that. We need that for 2 more games.
Shot clock seems to still be functioning. That's good.
We got off to a late start today because the shot clock was not functioning. It only delayed things about 15 minutes or so. And I don't know. I've lost all track of time. I couldn't even tell you what day of the week it is anymore. But I don't feel
Thursday.
I don't feel like we're totally off schedule. Are we?
No,
Okay.
not totally off schedule. But you could tell they were rushing through that pregame spiel.
Right. Making up minutes everywhere we can.
That's right.
49-38. First of 3 men's games, all of which should be interesting in different ways. Hardin, Simmons, and Salisbury. I think that will be the closest game of the 3. And then Eau Claire and Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz with a chance to make
banana slug history.
Yeah, 2-0 as they're on the front page right now of D3Hoops.com. And again, thanks to Larry Radloff for the great photos. You can look at all of those photos off the scoreboard, off the index link, a variety of different places, or off of D3Photography.com. Nice head fake, follow shot, no good. Gets with the rebound, and then he doinks it off the knee of Josh Long out of bounds.
Yeah, Cranbeard doing just about as much as he could possibly do with that basketball, just unable to deflect it to a teammate, but still Gustavus basketball.
Correct myself, James Long, sorry, not Josh. Josh Ford, James Long. And
steal right in front of us.
Steal, and Sultan Aminu's hands on the sideline. Hopefully Sultan is okay. A little slow to get up.
Chuck McBreen imploring his team to take care of the ball.
Yes.
And doing so in a manner that we could say with
he
an
said
open mic.
please.
Yep. Well, you know, when it's quiet, he doesn't have to yell.
No.
His voice is in remarkably good shape.
He has been...
He's got the best voice of any coach from New Jersey here this week. I assume you guys talked on the broadcast about how
Megan Howie was had a very gravelly voice coming into the tournament.
I may have found another taker for Thayer's Slippery Elm lozenges, which I pitch at every turn. Wow. They do wonders for me. I don't get a kickback. You can find them at your health food stores or on Amazon. I swear, for someone who speaks or sings for a living, that is something worth having. Thayer's Slippery Elm lozenges. Now I feel like I'm on public radio.
That's awesome. As Smith checks in.
Also, this broadcast presented in part with Production Truck Software by Blue Frame Technology. Thank them for their help in presenting the 7th annual D3Hoops.com Classic.
49-38. Ramapo by 11. Still, the free throw's no good. Josh Ford down the floor. Very quickly, Bonnicum sets up on the outside. Shot off the glass for Corey Soanes, who's just looks real impressive. And of course, it's easy to be impressed by one-hand tomahawk follow jams as that one sails into the scoring table. But he is always around the rim on offense, and even if they're not dunks, he finds different ways to put the ball home.
Yeah, and he is shooting really well tonight. 7 of 8 from the floor, 3 for 4 from the line. So 17 points. He also has a game-high 7 rebounds. It's been more than a tomahawk dunk for him today.
51-38. This is Soanes right here working off the screen. Works it around. James Long for three. A little long for Long. And nice rebound saved by Crambeer. And Gustavus Adophus quickly back the other way. Down by 13. Gusties need a little bit of a run here to chip into this lead. And that's not going to count. That's a traveling violation.
That's not the kind of run you're looking for.
Right, on Skylar Thompson. Stanek, Long, Ford, Bonnicum, and Sones, the five on the floor for Coach Chuck McBreen's Roadrunners. Last time the Roadrunners were NJAC champs was 2013. This was the last time they were in the NCAA tournament. NJAC gives its conference crown to its tournament winner. I think the MIAC does it to its regular season winner.
Yeah,
Although the automatic bid goes to the tournament.
Right, those things are semantics as far as I'm concerned.
Three on the way. Front rim no good. Sones touches the ball. James Long out in front of the defense. Nice hesitation. Lays it off the glass for two. And Ramapo extends the lead to 15. Oops. Smith still has his dribble, and he'll use it. Pass to Lees. Lees to Crambeer. Outside for Spencer Tollefson. Tollefson drives. Ball poked away. Corey Sones. Sones hangs and hits the backboard, or the stanchion. Hopefully he's okay. It's padded, but
not that
he hit it at an awkward angle. Sones appears to be okay, and Ramapo will get a chance to let him recover a little bit. 15-point Roadrunner lead, 14:38 to play. Welcome back. We're going to thank those of you watching and following along on YouTube, and thank you for a correction. Something I had wrong earlier in the broadcast. One of many things, I'm sure, but one I'll be able to correct. We had talked about the NJAC having a South and a North division. That's actually not true anymore. They have gone back and forth between having North and South divisions, but now they're all merged together, and that's good news for Ramapo, because that means even if they finish as the second best team in the conference, assuming the conference hasn't moved away from the 6-team format, they could get a bye, and that's what triggered the conversation before, is they could be the second best team, finish a game or so behind Jersey City, and not get a first-round bye if it goes to the weaker team in the Southern Division.
Even finish tied, lose a tiebreaker, and then lose a significant amount of positioning in that conference tournament.
So thank you to the correction. Ramapo forces a turnover out of the timeout. $17 turnovers by the Gusties in this game. Stanek has played limited minutes here tonight. That shot, I'm going to say, was altered because it landed nowhere near the rim. Vannis Smith for Crambeer. As Bonnicum will pick up Smith. Smith has been virtually invisible on offense here.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you heard me or not, but there you go.
That's a little more visible.
Yes, that's the first time he's attempted a shot. It's the first time he's even held the ball in a position to think about shooting. He's basically been in charge of bringing the ball up the floor and then getting out of the way. There's a quick answer back the other way by Zaire Newell. First 2 points of the game for Zaire. 56-41. Gusties break the press. Nice job by Skylar Thompson. As they reset the offense, and now Vannis Smith has said, I'll show you. So he takes the last 2 shots, and he's got 5 points.
Yeah, Smith, the only freshman on this roster, as trying to work his way into a little bit more of a spot in the regular rotation. And Gustavus certainly has openings for people who have offensive talent.
Yeah, well, I'm available for hire if they need me to just come to different games and say disparaging things near the sideline about Vannis Smith on offense, get him fired up.
I'm not sure how much of a future there is in that, but that does seem to be one of your set of skills.
Bonnicum at the free throw line. Free throw is no good. Bonnicum 3 of 6 from the free throw line tonight. He's got 7 points, 2 of 7 from the floor. He's also got 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals for the Roadrunners. 57-43. Kester finds the handle. Lees. Outside, Vannis Smith will try it again. Not this time, as it just rattles out. Ball tipped by Thompson, controlled by Newell, and Newell... I knew it was coming. As I saw the ball headed out of bounds, particularly towards McBreen, I thought, we're going to get a good reaction out of McBreen on this. And he grabs the ball and channels Nancy Kerrigan.
Well, you know what's funny, Gordon, is I was thinking, when the ball went through the scores table a couple of minutes ago,
yeah.
It's like, how come the ball never goes through the scores table, but it seems to come near us all the time?
Yeah.
What kind of special force field do they have in front of a scores table?
Vannis Smith. Got it. Wow, Vannis Smith is in the flow now.
7 points on the weekend, all within the last 3 minutes.
3 of 4 from the floor. And, hey, they will take that. A round of applause from the appreciative Gustavus fans. As I had requested this song earlier. I think it's probably totally
random.
Totally random that I'm getting it, but I'm going to appreciate it anyway.
Well, that sounds fun for you. I appreciate that. Thanks for mentioning that. I was just looking up, by far, well, not by far, but this is Vannis Smith's career high in points with 7. His previous high was 4 in a game against Simpson earlier this season. Had not scored since then. That game was on November 26th. But Gustavus trying to hang into this game. And Ramapo.
Yeah, it feels like they need a run here somewhere. Obviously, you're down 12. It's going to be hard to pick your way back into it. Doable with 12 minutes to play, but they need a 6-0, an 8-2, something like that run to take this lead down to a couple of possessions.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they have that run in them.
Yeah, that's right. Need and able to get are 2 different things.
That's true. And Jack Tournament is indeed a 6-round format.
That would be
that would be something.
They're bringing in teams from outside the conference.
No, it's a round robin.
Oh, that's right. 2 loss.
Double elimination.
Double elimination drops them into the losers bracket.
I would actually love to see something.
That would be pretty. I think that would be fun for the old GSAC model when they would bring teams in, and that would be the only time they play each other all year.
Yeah, true. That ball goes out of bounds off of Gustavus.
Ouch. Kester does a belly flop onto the unforgiving floor.
No, it's not as unforgiving as it used to be. Actually, all joking aside, the old floor, like many floors of this style, had some dead spots. I've only heard 1 dead spot the entire week. Yeah,
it really is a great facility for basketball. Yeah. 57-45. Ramapo. On the outside, Mosley, who's been saddled with 3 fouls, a long part of the game, gets back in. Mosley kind of defensively reacting there. He expected to get yelled at. I'm not sure what he thought he was going to get yelled at. But he turned around and started to defend himself immediately to the bench. There was no scolding to be had. So I guess Mosley was he's just frustrated. He wanted Bonnicum to be in a different position than where he was. Roadrunners shooting 47%, Gustavus 43%. Again, the big advantage for Ramapo is turnovers, 18-10. Rebounds are fairly even, 29-27. Ramapo has 12 steals to Gustavus's 5 as Aminu continues to do yeoman's work from the free throw line. He's now 7 of 8 from there. 59-45, 14-point lead. Kester lines up a 3, got it. No, well, he's right on line with where I was sitting, so I was trying to predict it.
I thought that was going down too, and about half of the ball did.
Aminu.
I don't know if you heard that was a travel.
Yes, I also heard Coach McBreen wants him to pass the ball because he was too far out. And, we laugh at McBreen because he's a colorful character. He's a great coach. That should not be lost in the
in the banter.
In the banter and the fun-loving pokes we take at him. He's a tremendous coach. He's built this program from the ground up. He's got them consistently contending.
And that's tough to do in the end, Jack. As you talked
very difficult.
You talked about the cyclical nature of just the student body. A lot of kids in school, a lot of kids transfer out. You have to take semesters off because of work. You know.
I don't want to generalize too much. I have no idea the backstory for any of the players, but having talked to coaches like Jerry Matthews, who just retired from Stockton, Jose Rambibas from William Patterson, McBreen, they'll tell you a nice block there from Aminu. They'll tell you, such and such a kid has got difficult circumstances. He has to work a job. He's got financial challenges. These are people coming. Their student body has people who have things going on outside of regular college life quite frequently, and piecing together a roster, piecing together a team, being successful over a long period of time is no small feat.
Yeah, especially when you have to do it not year to year, but semester to semester.
Right. Yep.
CUNYAC is like that too. It's just not as much success on the basketball ranks.
No, right. That, not to take shots at the CUNYAC, there may be institutional advantages there too, but that's what that type of program looks like when it's not successful.
Right.
And, incidentally, by the way, McBreen was right on that correction to Aminu. Aminu started his spin move 14 feet away from the rim. He was not going to finish. He should have passed.
Hey, I'll be honest with you, Gordon. I just always appreciate when a coach is more intent on coaching his players in the quiet moments than coaching the refs.
Yep.
I've seen
that's generally true of McBreen. When he's yelling, 85% of the time it's at his own guys.
Yeah, it's something that one of his guys did or didn't do.
60-45. 10:21 to play. There's been a number of very good coaches, a lot of longtime coaches in that conference. 61-45 is ouch.
Yeah, just
back
hit
of
his
the
head of the floor. Yep.
Aminu. Hi.
Yep, trainer being brought out onto the floor. Just kind of ran into, got a little bit twisted, turned around, hit up against Riley Charbonneau, and then bam.
Ow.
And he's sitting up. But
and of course, his teammates can't resist the opportunity to take pokes at him while he's laying on the floor. Did you hear what Bonnicum said?
No, I did not.
He said, "Are you all right? There's not much in there."
Well, that's friendly.
Hopefully he is all right. That is. I would guess the medical staff has concussion protocols of their own they have to go through, right?
I assume that there are things that we have no knowledge of whatsoever. And for me, what an athletic training staff does and their procedures are not something that I have any knowledge of.
And hopefully Salton is okay. Outside, Charbonneau to Crambeer. Charbonneau. Oh, my God. He almost got his legs cut out from underneath him as well, and a chance at a rare 4-point play. And Hey, I said they needed like an 8-2 run. If he hits the free throw here, they're halfway there.
That's true.
They're down by 13 now, though. Charbonneau's family can start dusting off that place on the mantle for his all-tournament team because he's pretty much got that locked up.
Not that Gordon or I necessarily make the decision.
No, we do not.
We might be able to throw in some feedback, but I'm sure that it seems like a fairly reasonable choice.
Traveling violation.
Now, Gustavus has had a significantly difficult tournament here. They face the number 11 team. They're facing a team that's going to come out of here in the top 25.
Yep.
Almost certainly.
Right. Yep.
They are certainly going to face similar type of competition in the MIAC.
Yeah.
Although
their first game back is St. Thomas.
And St. Thomas is a big rivalry for them, even if St. Thomas is a lot younger than they have been in the past. 3
on the way, up and good, and little signs of life here. It's a 7-0 run for Gustavus. Gets it down to 10 with 9:09 to play. Also, first action in the tournament for Connor Romano, who's checked in, freshman guard, also from Old Bridge, New Jersey, so same town as Aminu. Drive in, and a little bit of help there for Jermaine Pert, who is in an awkward spot on the floor.
Old Bridge is South Jersey, right?
Yep. I believe so.
Okay. So double bonus the rest of the way for Ramapo. 10 team fouls for Gustavus, just 4 for Ramapo here in the second half.
Nice job by Jermaine to hit the first free throw, averages 4 points per game. Good free throw shooter in limited action, 12 of 14 on the season coming into this week. And he hits both perfectly.
And gives him an opportunity to set up the press, and it's a little more aggressive, a little more full court, but Gustavus able to dribble it up.
Yeah, Mosley was out of position there, and he knew it. 63-51. Across the defense, Crambier. Traveling violation. All right, something that you know and I probably should know, but I didn't take a lot of European history in college. What are the 3 crowns on the back of the jersey for Gustavus Adolphus for? Did he unify 3 kingdoms? I know he was a big king, and I know he's big in Sweden, so to speak.
Big in Sweden. There you go. Unfortunately, what you have just said is probably more than I knew already.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought maybe Scandinavian history was a required course in Minnesota.
Yeah, it probably is, but I didn't move there until 6th grade.
Ah, okay.
So, and I did not attend Gustavus Adolphus.
I remember when I have a close friend in Finland, and when I was over there, we had visited some towns close to the border with Sweden, and some of the landmarkers there referenced Gustavus Adolphus, which, of course, I said to my friend who didn't care at all, hey, there's a Division III school in Minnesota named after him.
Crickets.
Yeah.
No, we are brought up learning to pronounce these names, but not necessarily being taught much about them. As a nice baseline jumper, good by Charbonneau. Gordon is playing research department here.
I am. Now I want to know.
Romano looking inside for Bonnicum. And it will be a kicked ball.
All right, well, there's something very specific to Gustavus Adolphus's curriculum, 3 crowns curriculum, but you could call it anything. The 3 crowns must have some sort of historical significance.
You could drop it to us in the chat here on YouTube.
I will find it later. If not, it will give me something to look at after the game.
Sones is going to get fouled on the putback, and he'll go to the line.
Ten-point game, so Gustavus has made some headway here. And good news for both teams, but particularly for Ramapo. Aminu is feeling okay. He's going to come back into the game. Sones? Yeah, it's the first. Extend this to an even dozen. Sones can convert. Left it short, and still nearly got his own rebound. Ben Lees pries out the board, and Pioneers will set up. Cranbeer left all alone, takes a shot. No, rolls off the back of the backboard and out of bounds. The Salisbury Seagulls are lurking, waiting for their next matchup. It's Hardin-Simmons Cowboys, who will be the last team to make their first impression in the 7th annual D3Hoops.com Classic.
Yeah, both of these teams will be gone by then. I don't know if you heard, but there's a sub coming to the table.
Yes.
As a guy who occasionally has run a scoreboard, that my ears
Your ears
perk
are
up
trained
whenever
for
I
that.
hear. I know.
Spencer Tollefson is the whistle there. He comes into the game. Riley Charbonneau, guarded by Bonnicum. On the baseline, Vannis Smith. And a foul away from the ball. Foul is on Sultan Aminu.
Just a 6-team foul for Ramapo that Gustavus will be shooting after this.
7:07 to play. Tollefson works it around. Or excuse me, that is Charbonneau to Smith. Back to Charbonneau. Dump it into the post. Lease took too many steps. Lease and Cruz, remember yesterday's game where if you watched it, they were all of the offense in the first half. Ramapo has completely shut them out here in this game.
Cruz hasn't been on the floor in a while either.
Right.
But one of the things, it's the 20th turnover for Gustavus, but lately a lot of them have been unforced.
That's a charge. There's 21.
That's an unforced well, I guess somewhat forced turnover, but it was a turnover that Ramapo had to do something in order to make happen, but it was all Gustavus's fault that it happened. I'm sure you can follow my logic there.
I can. 64-53, 6:38 to play. As Sones is directing traffic. Stanek, who's checked in for Bonnicum. Got it! Bonnicum with the leaner and a chance at a three-point play. McBreen with some final words of instruction for Patrick Peterson, who checks in. As Connor Romano, freshman guard, checks out. This is a nicely balanced roster. There are 3 seniors on it who see significant time, Aminu, Pert, and Sones. And you got a bunch of juniors, a couple of sophomores, a couple of freshmen, and Ramapo has a very big roster. They brought a lot of guys here. If you look at their bench, you know they have a lot when they start to trickle into the second row of seating behind the bench. And I would assume a fair number of those are underclassmen who won't make the game day roster, but are still part of the program and the future for Ramapo basketball. 67-53, 6:02 to play. Sones, nice delivery. Peterson hits the deck after hitting the free throw, or hitting the layup.
Yep, and this is just like in the first half, this is the period of the game where Ramapo begins to pull away.
Yep. 69-53, Roadrunners on top. Again, came into the weekend undefeated. They're 10-0 right now. Only a handful of undefeated teams left. There's Peter Cruz. After a long layoff, gets the layup, and it's a 14-point Ramapo lead. .525 and counting here in the second half. Bonnicum turns around on his much smaller defender and lays it up for 2. Bonnicum having himself another very nice game. 71-55, Roadrunners on top by 16. They've been in control pretty much throughout. Gustavus Adophus briefly had the game tied in the second half. Bonnicum now with 15 points. As Peterson reaches out and knocks the ball away. Mark Hansen pleading his case for defensive positioning. The official nods his head and says, I'll watch that. So effective lobbying. We'll see if it results in any fouls called. Charbonneau. Shot is blocked by Sones. And Ramapo slows things down a little bit now. Up by 16 with under 5 to play. Ten-point lead at the break for the Roadrunners that they've expanded here to 16. Driving in. Oh, nice look.
Nice.
For DeBonicum for 2 as the Roadrunners starting to have a little bit of fun now. Hello, Corey Sones.
Right over the top of the table. Appreciate that. That's much better than through the table.
Yes. Yeah, it's overachieving, Dave says.
This is our 4th of 6 games today. A couple more games upcoming, followed by 5th-ranked Salisbury taking on Hardin-Simmons, and number 11 UW-Eau Claire versus UC Santa Cruz will finish off our night.
Yeah, David mentioned that Sones had a real bad case of conjunctivitis and had limited sight in his one eye and still does not see particularly well out of it. He's been.
I don't know how that's affected.
I don't know how it's right. Maybe it's affected his willingness to take outside shots. His entire offensive game is predicated around the rim, but heck, he's so effective. I don't know how much of a loss there is there.
7 of 8 from the floor.
Yeah, it looks no worse the wear for it. We have mentioned Gustavus Adophus. When they're done here, it's all tournament or all conference action the rest of the way, starting with St. Thomas. Mostly conference action the rest of the way for Ramapo.
That's it.
One conference game non-conference game against York, I think on Martin Luther King Day. That's a traditional matchup between those two teams. But they'll be at Rutgers-Camden. It's probably the longest road trip, or one of the longest road trips in a relatively compact conference. Home for TCNJ, home for Rowan, and then the big one, January 14th at Jersey City. And then
a game that Andy believes that Dave will be at.
Yeah, Andy McHugh believes Dave McHugh is going to for whatever reason. And then
there's pretty good reason.
Well, I'd like to go, and if Andy's organizing a road trip, hopefully he'll keep me in mind. February 11th, then Ramapo and Jersey City.
Come on, Dad, let's go.
At home, and those games will have really good crowds.
Okay.
Yeah. I hesitate to say too many of the NJAC schools travel real well, but when you get two teams that are very close to each other midweek in schools with large commuter populations, the crowd, the fans will be into it. The gyms are not huge, so they'll be loud, they'll be warm, and there will be lots of emotion flowing. Those are really, really fun games to go to.
So book your calendars, not just Andy McHugh, but the rest of the Division III East Coast as well.
If you're on that side, on those coasts, and you're looking for games to go to, those are two to get to. And either one, I think the second game is a Saturday. So take the Wednesday game if you can. Go to Jersey City and check that out. 75-56. 3:18 to play here in the second half. At some point here, although Coach McBreen has a couple of starters out, I would expect him to pull everybody else. Bonicum finishes the layup. He's had a real nice second half. It's a 21-point Ramapo advantage. And instead, we're going to get one of the start. Nope, we're not. Aminu is starting to go through the scoring table, and Jordan Zagadou is going to come in instead. And a foul on the floor. Ben Lees is bumped and fouled from behind. And I think Bonicum at least thinks Bonicum is going to come out, and he is. Jordan Zagadou checks in, so you've got Zagadou along with Nick Stanek, Corey Sones, Patrick Peterson, and Josh Ford. Thank you. Yeah, we're likely to need that here in a second.
Get to the dark web of the roster here. Everybody is in the game program, and everybody is in the scorebook, but in terms of our score sheets, there's only about 15 or 16 spots.
Small roster for Gustavus. Is that unusual?
I think it's unusual for them, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand with having just the one freshman. You see, they basically have just 10 guys suited up today.
Yeah.
If they have some guys hurt, they traveled 11, but not everybody's available. But even then, 11 is obviously not much larger than 10.
Right. 77-58, 2:35 to play in the second half. As Ramapo has pretty much tucked this one away in the win column. They'll be 11-0. It'll be interesting to see when the next poll comes out where they land. Voting to some of the panelists' participants' chagrin will take place on New Year's Day.
Hello.
And then into the following day. And polls released Monday evening, shot after the shot clock. Polls generally released around 6:30, 7 o'clock, depending on when the final votes come in.
Yeah. How's that process going for you?
It's okay. I've been very appreciative of the voters who put a lot of time and effort into it, and they're much more time. My biggest concern was timeliness, and they're not everybody every week, but most people every week are get their ballots in on time, and that's, as you know from administering these polls for years, that's one of the challenges. The challenge in the off season is putting the panel together, making sure it's balanced between regions and coaches versus SIDs versus media, and people who have conferences who have in regions like the West. Can you find somebody who plays teams? You don't want a coach who coaches a team and then plays his entire non-conference schedule against NAIA teams. You want, someone from Whitworth or Whitman or whatever who will get out off of their island and go play other teams. So.
Yeah, and so for those who don't know, I administered the D3Hoops.com top 25 for the first 17 years, and Gordon has taken that over for this season and all of the editorial operations at D3Hoops.com.
Ramapo on top here, 77-60, 1:54 to play. Corey Soanes.
Just glad you guys let me come to Vegas.
I'm very happy to have you. Shot, no. Corey Soanes climbing over a couple of ladders wearing Gustavus Adophus jerseys. Charles Crambier was the player closest to the ball. Hardin Simmons waiting in the wings for their first game. I saw their coach giving them a pep talk in the hallway yesterday when I was walking into the gym, which is a little unusual, one, because it was a hallway. It's kind of an awkward place to be giving a pep talk. But, two, they weren't playing yesterday, and they don't think they even practiced here. So I'm not sure why they were all in the hallway at that particular moment, unless they were waiting to get on a bus to go somewhere else to practice.
No, I know Hardin Simmons, the team sat in the arena here, watched some of the basketball action yesterday.
Okay.
But, that's not the same as practicing here, having a shoot-around. They had a shoot-around early yesterday morning or early this morning, because everybody gets some time on the floor, or at least is allotted some time on the floor. Ramapo just content to run some clock here.
Just taking a look at who will be named to the all-tournament team from these two squads. We'll wait until the event's over to announce the most outstanding players from men's and women's.
But, good to see Aminu back in this game as well.
Yep. And it will be Charbonneau from Gustavus Adolphus, and it'll be Thomas Bonnicum from Ramapo. And actually, Ramapo will have two honorees. Corey Soanes will be the second. Offensive charge on Ford. Yeah. Coach McBreen letting his starters out here deep into the game. It's a 15-point game with 56 seconds to play. Keeping the laundry costs down.
and the shower usage?
I don't know. Utility costs. I think he's the assistant athletic director for facilities. Maybe it's just a gut reaction, Keep those costs down. That's one more recruiting trip to Old Bridge I could make instead. 77-62. 33 seconds to play here in the second half. Ramapo, fittingly enough, is going to win the 100th game at the D3Hoops.com Classic. Soanes misses. Aminu follow. No. Soanes pokes it to Ford. Kick it out to Bonnicum. And that will do it. Bonnicum breathing heavily. And he's going to tuck it under his arm, and they're going to get to take victory number 12 back home to New Jersey. 11 on the season, 12 here at the D3Hoops.com Classic over the years. And again, no more fitting result for the 100th game at the D3Hoops.com Classic in 7 years to finish in a Ramapo victory. The Roadrunners with the final score of 77-62 tonight. Ramapo improves to 11-0 on the season. And again, will almost certainly be ranked in the top 25. They will know for certain on Monday evening when the poll is announced for Gustavus Adophus. This is a rough stretch. They dropped to 2-7. Again, they played Eau Claire, they play Ramapo, and then they play St. Thomas. And then things will regress back to the mean in terms of challenges for them. Something to grow on. Charbonneau played well. I think they've got some pieces here, but in the rebuilding process, as we wrap this one up, and the Seagulls of Salisbury and the Cowboys of Hardin-Simmons take the floor. Any final thoughts for this one, Pat?
No, I think that it's a real productive trip for Ramapo. Obviously, they've put themselves right where they need to be in the national conversation. I think a lot of times, a team that comes in and has an early season schedule where you're not playing a lot of teams that are going to help you get national notice are, then the voters know what's coming up. The voters know what's coming up on the schedule. They see Salisbury. They know Salisbury's had a good opening point to the season. They say, well,
I'll just wait until they play.
Right, Ramapo might be a borderline. I could put them on my ballot now, and they could make me look silly.
Right.
Instead, I will wait and see how they go. And, they then typically those teams get a little bit more of a boost because, voters have been holding them back a spot or two and now are convinced, this is a team that's legitimate and I can vote for them in good conscience.
Last time Ramapo was at the D3Hoops.com Classic and went undefeated, actually, was in 2011. The last time they won the conference tournament, or they won the conference crown, was 2013, and they went 1-1 here that year. So make of that what you will. Ramapo headed home 2-0, and they, again, are almost certain to be in the top 25 when it's released next week. That'll do it for us for game number 4 of day number 2. And game number 100 overall here at the D3Hoops.com Classic. We'll take a break, come back in about 15 minutes, and we'll get you ready for game 2 of 3 in our triple header. Salisbury took their first loss of the season yesterday. They'll look to get back on track. Hardin-Simmons will look to get a win here in Las Vegas. It's the Cowboys and the Seagulls coming up in just a bit.